You excited? You ready to go outside? Huh? He gets so excited when he knows it's time to go outside. He can't stand it. Hold on, let me get my shoes on. Right, you ready? You ready to go outside? Let's go. Oh yeah, baby! Look at that thing. Gonna have to do some PB Blaster, I believe. Back up on in here. Just for this line. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of light going down here right now, but squirt that up good. Okay. Let that soak. And come around here to the other side. We're gonna have to start disconnecting lines and using adapters and all that good stuff. So I'm assuming this is the one. Yeah. So that line is running to the back tires. So I guess I'll squirt this down, let this stuff soak for a little bit too. That way I can actually see what I'm working with up in here. What are the chances that this is still good? Probably not very. Howdy. All right, so we're gonna get started on the brake system here. Mel and I went to Bumper and got everything we needed. So kind of looks a little goofy here, how I had to step everything down, but we wanted to upgrade the system. So, we'd have 2 brake lines versus 1. So we got all this stuff figured out, and anyway, so we're getting ready to hook it all up. I've already checked all the fittings just to make sure everything's going to work like it should, and it does. So I think the biggest part now for me is going to be actually bending these without breaking them, so, or kinking them, or whatever, putting a hole in them. So. Okay. I gotta record this. Go ahead. If you screw it up, then the camera's right again. So Mel thinks it would be better if I cut this down and flanged it, okay? And then, because where this is going, obviously, is to the master cylinder. So she's like, why don't you just cut it down and flange it so it's not that much of a bend? She didn't say it just like that, but in my mind.
I mean, yeah, it's easier to bend a longer line.
Okay, so that's all I'm saying. It's easier to bend the longer the lines are.
Bend it, then cut it.
Why?
I'm just switching so much line.
Oh, it is okay. So, anyways, all right. Let's see how this works. I guess where I'll start first is, yeah, I guess I actually need to get this insert. And this hasn't been bench bled yet. We're gonna have to go to O'Reilly's later and get the little tubey tube so I can bleed it. We'll do that later. But right now, I just want to get everything fitted and in its place. So I guess I'll start the master cylinder so I know how long this needs to be, because this is gonna go from where's it at? From here, and then all the way underneath the motor into that rail. And this one is the original line that was on the truck. I may have to cut it down and flange it. I don't know yet, because it actually went to the old master cylinder. So let me figure out how much of a bend I think I'm gonna need.
Do we have to mount that to that?
Doesn't have to. The Impala's not mounted. Well, actually, it is kind of mounted to a bracket to that, but no, I don't think it has to be. Probably wouldn't hurt. All right. Ba-do-do. Actually, let me get this much paper off, because they don't have a whole lot of give. You pretty much have to have this off here for the most part. It's been about a week since the last time, Mel.
I was just watching.
You're like, you're just shooting while you're down here.
No, I was watching you take that paper off.
Oh, really? Because you was looking over here at that beautiful motor.
I was, but I was also.
Anyway, it's been about a week since I showed you guys when I was underneath there looking at stuff. We had the holidays and everything, so it's the 30th. Yeah, tomorrow will be the last day of the year. So Anyways, hope you guys all had a good Christmas. We did. It's pretty good time seeing family and stuff. So, oh my goodness, dude, the other one didn't do that. 1 hour later. I think I said one alligator at first. 1 hour later. Shut up, Mel. I mean, I could have got a razor blade and got this off or used my pocket knife, which would probably been smart, but there we go. Lordy have mercy. Okay. So, you guys bend these lines. They're supposed to bend fairly easily and, just to do the dang thing, but oh my gosh, you don't want to bend it too much in one area and kink it. And I don't have any kind of a roller or anything like that, so I'm just using what I have. Man. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's pretty low. But what I could do now. Now that it's bent, well, it's still gonna be low. Well,
You could cut it.
well, yeah. Now that I've got it bent.
Wow.
Well, I wasn't gonna do it
Wow.
before. It's too
And-
hard to bend.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
But I
saying.
told you, I said bend it and then cut
No,
it.
you didn't say bend it and then
Yes,
cut it.
I
No,
did.
you
Bend it, then cut it.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I
You said,
did.
why don't you cut it and then bend
I
it?
said that at
That's
first,
what you said.
and then I said, well, you can bend it.
Well, I didn't hear that part.
Oh, right.
I didn't say it wouldn't need to be cut. I just said I wasn't gonna cut it first and then bend it. Because then what if I cut it too short? Okay, Mel? Okay, Mel?
I'm just.
I didn't say it wouldn't need to be cut. The argument was, should I cut it then bend it? Because that's what I said. That's what I said. It's easier to bend when it's longer.
Yeah, and then I said, you did say that, and then I said, well, then bend it and then cut it.
Well, I probably do need to cut it because that line's coming off of here, and I don't want it going directly into that steering column, which is pretty much. I mean, I could bend around it, but okay. So where do I need to cut it? You think? Out here? Where are my flare tools at? Okay, so I got my stuff here. And it is in my other little toolbox that I never get in. So these little pipe cutters are pretty awesome. They're super easy to use if you guys don't know how. It's basically just has a little wheel right here, and that's what's actually doing the cutting. You just put your pipe against these two rollers, and you just spin this around, and you tighten this. You loop it around, tighten, loop it around, tighten. So the more you're tightening it, the deeper cut it's getting. So got in there, it's kind of tight. Just get it where you want it. Tighten it a little bit, and you just make a couple turns, whatever. Tighten a little bit, make a couple turns, tighten a little bit more. And you just keep doing that until it comes off. Super easy. What I'll do, hopefully I didn't cut that too short. You got different sizes of pipe, wherever you want your pipe or whatever. You just take this and it'll come off like so. That might be a little too small, but that seems a little too big. Do this again. And guys, there is better tools than this. This is just a basic, Oh, there we go. I think it's working now. Okay. Yep. So see, got that flare. It's a little, but you see how it's a little wonky? How this side's a little more flared, and that side didn't really flare out too much. So I'm gonna go back in, redo it. Again, it's not the first time. Actually, there's only been a couple of times where it's actually flared right the first time for me. I don't do this very often, which is why this was in the other toolbox. It was in tools I don't use a lot. But that's okay. Don't freak out. You will get it to work like it should. Still kind of doing the same thing. All right, guys. So this is our first pipe. I kinked it some, unfortunately, because with it just coming straight down, this for the rear was right up against here. There was no way we'd have had room to bend it. So I'm having to kind of bend this in such a way to get this away. So I'm working on the second one now. Like I said, it's kinked a little bit, but it's not like kink. It's not gonna, obviously cut off the brake flow or anything. Hopefully, we'll see. If not, we'll just go buy another one of those. But this one's a lot easier to bend just because it's so much thinner. That's actually a pretty thick one. So I'm just kind of working on the design now to get this to where it needs to be. I'm just kind of trying to work on that a little bit. I'm wondering. So here's what it looks like. So we didn't cut this one. We just bent it around. So we kind of had to do it to where the distribution block or portion valve, whatever, I had to do it to where it kind of is at an angle. So no big deal. I mean, it works. The only, like I said, the only kind of kink I'm worried about is this one right here. A little bit thin, but I think we'll be okay. I'll find out. Like I said, if it is, I'll just get another one and fix it. But anyways, we'll figure it out. So right now I'm gonna run this back down to its original spot and see. I may have to cut this one off or just bend it in different ways or whatever. So we'll see. All right, guys, so we are done hooking up all the lines. So this went to the rear, or still goes to the rear. So that's what we got hooked up there up front, which I'll show you the finished product of that here in just a second. So basically all we did is put a plug here. So this still feeds the front brakes, and this will feed the rear brakes. So just had to get a little female adapter thing going on there. No big deal. And then just ran it through there, trying to avoid those headers as much as possible. And we'll get up top here. And so this is the finished product up top. So this is what I was showing you at the bottom that's going to feed the rear brake lines. So we kind of worked out with me having to bend these to push these away. And then also we kind of, as you can see, it's at an angle. It's not pretty, but that's what was necessary to avoid the firewall, avoid this. So we've just kind of got looped around. And like I said, fortunately we're a little bit close to those headers. I don't think it's so close that it's gonna heat up the brake lines too much, but if it does, we'll put some kind of insulation on there or something. But that's kind of the way it is on the Impala.
Hi.
Okay, just had to get her on there for a second. She's been yelling at me, guys, and making fun of me off camera. Hey, don't. Yeah, okay. So, anyways, my feelings are hurt, but I forgive her.
Oh my god.
So, all right, guys. So, got my little tubies going and my little fittings matched up there. So, I'm going to see if I can do this without making a huge mess. Okay. And then I'll go in. I'm gonna start pumping the brake, and I'll see.
It is in the front line. That back line's not pumping.
Really?
Yeah. So, whoa, I can't even see your face.
My O-light. Looking for an O-light. This thing is awesome. I love it. Looks dorky, right, on your head, but freaking handy. And it's comfortable. You can adjust all this. It's real nice. This is magnetic, and you got different little options here. But anyways, the other O-light that I normally use, my older one that I've had for years, I had it under the truck earlier, and I pulled it out, started looking for stuff, and now I have no idea where it's at.
We'll find it. We always do.
Yeah, I lose it all the time. Not a big deal, but O-light's where it's at. Good quality product. And no, they don't sponsor us. It really is just a good light.
Yeah. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday. Found it. Just happened to look down there. There she is.
Found it.
Yep. We always lose it.
Yep.
But it's cool.
I don't know if we can get it or not. Yeah.
It's old. It's beat up. I think I've told you guys before. Literally dropped this thing in a thing of oil. Completely covered. And pulled it out, cleaned it up. Never skipped a beat.
Nope.
I'm gonna spray more little gunk in there. Just let it sit. I really don't know. Maybe that'll get down on the back side of that side. Alright guys, so apparently you have these rivets on here. I've never seen this before. There's three, well there's two.
The other one's under there.
Oh, right there. Yeah. So three, yeah. So you got three there. And you have to grind those off before you can pull this off. That's why I wasn't having any luck. The only reason I know that is because, like I said, I was having no luck. So I asked Mel to look up, to Google it, YouTube it, or whatever. And there's a channel on there called Gibson63. And he was changing out his, and that's what he said. Those got to be grinded down to get this off. Literally would have never known that. Why would they do that? But anyways, so I'll grind it here in a minute and get that off and see what she looks like underneath. All right, guys, this is day 2 of actually getting work done on the brake system. It's actually December 31st. So hope you guys had a great 2024. Hope your 2025 is even better. This is the inside of the brake drum, right? Peep it. Just what you'd expect from a sitting. Nothing crazy. Everything's there. Just a little nasty. So I've got the wheel cylinders. Looks like all the parts are there that I'm going to need for that. But you can see how nasty that. Oh, look, just touching it. Tore that off. I wonder if this side's as bad. Yep. So definitely needed wheel cylinders. That's why we bought them. I'm probably going to go ahead and replace this. I can't imagine that those rubber lines are any good. I had to order the one for the rear from O'Reilly, so it'll be in today. It's probably already there, actually. So anyways, we can start getting these changed out and get them in and get them bled. And hopefully we have brakes. All right, so we got the new master cylinder on, got the new rubber brake line. I'm missing the line from here that connects, golly, if I could speak this morning, right down here. Twisted, so you see that? And I know better. Here's the little piece. So it was dark, I didn't have my light under here, and so I was twisting this and it was tough. And I was like, okay. And I was looking down through here to make sure the line wasn't moving too much, and it wasn't. I'm like, that doesn't really look like it's spinning. Of course it wasn't, it was just twisting all up in here. So that broke, so I'm gonna have to get a new line. No big deal, really. A couple days ago, I sprayed the other line on the passenger side, just because I was under there, and I knew I'd be taking it off. So that actually helped a lot on the other side, but I didn't spray any on it on this side until this morning. And I even put heat and everything on it this morning. Right there's my little bottle. Yep. So it still wasn't enough. I still tore this line up. The other side, after soaking for a day or two in PB Blaster and putting heat on it, I was fighting it, and I thought it was going to twist like this one did, but it didn't. It broke free. So heat, PB Blaster, wouldn't hurt if you have like a screwdriver or whatever wrench you're using. Tap on it around that, just kind of help break that stuff up in there. They're a booger. They're hard after they've been sitting all these years. So I'm also gonna get brake cleaner, spray all this stuff out, spray this brake drum out. These shoes look pretty good as far as thickness. Everything looks pretty good in here. Nothing seems to be falling apart except for that wheel cylinder. That was crazy. I've never seen the rubber on a wheel cylinder literally just fall apart as you touch it. So but yeah, everything else looks good. All that.
Hey, the people want to see you.
Say hi. Okay. All right. Corey Anderson over at Muscle and Cars went and picked up a new ride in Kansas City. So I'm over here working on the brakes. That's why it's the third day and I'm still on it, right? Freaking keep getting interrupted. But he calls and he's like, hey, got a Corvette in Kansas City. Want to go get it? Yeah, I want to go get it. Here's a little taste. Thing smokes it, dude. It's awesome. Anyway, so back to the brakes and gonna get all three corners done, hopefully. Got the rear brake line last night or yesterday before we went up to Kansas. And speaking of going to Kansas, you guys. Okay, hold on. Let me show you something. We also stopped in Bolivar, Missouri to pick up a piece for the 300 because the third brake light on the trunk has a crack in it. Not in the light itself, but just in that molding that goes from one end of the trunk to the other. And, see how we're painting it and all that. I want it to look good. So a guy up there was parting out a few 300Zs that he had up there. And I got some things I needed, like this boost tube, which was cool. Mine has a crack in it, right here. So, got that. Also needed this piece. Broke it, taking off the doors on my other one. And they need to be cleaned up, but my car don't have any mats, and there's some legit old school 300Z mats. So we're gonna clean those up, see how they do. So, anyways, got the third brake light off, man, and it was a pain. Had to drill holes in certain areas, 2 different areas to get it to pop off. Got it off in one piece because they're a little brittle. They break easy. So I was like, yes. Well, Corey's like, I'll take it and I'll put that in the truck right now so we don't accidentally break it. He comes back from the truck and says, I broke it. I'm like, no, you didn't. Yeah, it's broke. I'm like, what? So I go over there and look. Yeah. Pair of nunchucks. Not really his fault though. What happened was all he did was take it and set it down in the back seat of his truck. And as he set it down, it just went just that easy. Still had to give the guy $100 for it. I've not had to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like we argued about it. But I had taken it off. I put it in the truck, or well, Corey had put it in the truck. And I hadn't given him his money yet, but I mean, it broke in our possession. It wasn't that guy's fault, so $100 down the drain. That's how I ended 2024. So I'm still putting out the positive vibes. Hopefully today's a better day. All right, let's get started on this truck. Okay, so one of the lines I bought yesterday, I really needed a 10-inch. O'Reilly's didn't have 10. They had 8 and 12, so I'm having to cut this one down. But one thing I didn't mention, I was editing the video, and I realized when I was showing you guys on the first one I did, there's a bevel on this. Kind of see right here on all these. That's not on this side. It's just flat on this side. And I think the first time I did it, I wasn't paying attention. That's why it slipped. Well, that might not be why it slipped, but it certainly didn't help. And I forgot to mention that you need to do this to flare it on the bevel side, where you can see that they kind of they're rounded right there at the top on all these. So don't do it on this side where it's perfectly flat. Anyways, that's it. All right, got that line fitted finally. Not the prettiest thing. I probably could have cut it a little bit shorter, but I'm always a little too scared to do that because you don't want to cut it too short. But anyways, it's fitted. So now let's clean this up. Other than like cobwebs and stuff in here, I mean, it really wasn't that bad. It wasn't, I expected there to be a lot more, old brake fluid and stuff in there, so wasn't too bad. I want to clean up the inside of this drum real quick, put that on, put the wheel back on, and move to the next one. Oh, let me get under here. Okay, let me show you something, guys. So these brake lines are always a pain to put back in. Like, if they're not just, you know, perfect, they're not going to go in. So when you're putting your, I've already started this. I didn't think about it until I got started, but when you're putting your master cylinder or your wheel cylinder in, leave that part loose. You see where they screw in right here, and in here? Leave that loose. That way you can kind of manipulate your wheel cylinder, however, to help fit your brake line. Because once you put this in place, the only thing you can really move is your brake line a little bit back and forth. And you can do it that way, but it's so much easier to leave your wheel cylinder loose, get this brake line connected, and then mount your wheel cylinder to the drum. Okay? Okay. All right, guys, so heading to O'Reilly's for the second time today. I was there earlier today picking up a brake line, actually returning a brake line and picking one up. And me and Mel started bleeding the brakes. Everything's going good. And I go to the rear and there's a huge puddle underneath the axle. Well, the rear brake line that crosses over the axle had a little rust hole in it. So now I'm heading back to O'Reilly's to replace the entire rear brake line. It's two pieces back there on the axle, and I took the one that was leaking out, and I was looking at the other one, and it didn't look like it was in much better shape, but it wasn't leaking. So I went ahead and took it out. And as soon as I got it loosened up and was just moving it out from under the axle or from behind the axle, snap, I barely hit it and it just crumbled in half. So it was just barely holding on. So glad we made the decision to just get two new brake lines. Everything is new except for two metal lines that are still in really good shape. All right, guys, we're back. I got all the lines hooked up. Hold on. Let me let this good boy out. You ready to go? Pew! Had to see his buddy. All right, so got everything back, got everything hooked up. There were little leaks as far as just some of the fittings not being tight enough. Some of those fittings, I mean, you really got to get on them to keep them from leaking. But everything looks good now, or at least for the most part. This guy here, I may end up having to replace that. That's the original line. I wouldn't, I guess in a technical sense, it's leaking. But I mean, it's more just kind of staying glossy. It's not really like puddling up anywhere, you know. But I don't know. I guess I'll just keep an eye on that. But anyways, the problem I'm having now is I'm getting fluid to all four corners. But it's only, you know, when I'm working the little valve on the wheel cylinder, it's only squirting out like, I don't know, 6-7 inches, when really it should be shooting all the way across. All basically what I'm saying is I'm not getting a lot of pressure, but I am getting fluid to all four corners. It's not foamy, like there's air in it. The only thing I have not done, which is what I'm getting ready to work on now. Oh, I'll put this back. Uh-oh. Hold on. I need to get that screwed in, I guess. All right, put the key back in there so I don't lose it. It's hard doing this one-handed. Okay. So I have not adjusted this yet, the throw or whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna work on that. I don't know if that's even anything I need to do. I wasn't thinking, and I threw the old master cylinder away. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, you know, this obviously it's gonna be longer down here, you know, that tube where the rod goes in, but I don't know if the master cylinder itself is adjusted for that or not, you know. I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well. Probably not. But anyways, I guess I'm going to adjust it and see if that makes a difference, if it gets me a little bit more pressure. And that's really all I'm waiting on, guys. Once I feel comfortable, you can press the brakes all the way to the floor and it will stop those. But if I really, really try, I can still turn it a little bit if I really put all my might into it. So I can tell you right now, if I'm able to turn it at all, it's not going to stop the truck. So I need to figure out how to get more pressure back there. So that's what I'm working on now. And let you guys know what I find out here in just a second. Yes, I have adjusted the shoes inside. So they drag just a little bit. So I don't know exactly the right way to know if they're adjusted, but I know if they've got a little bit of drag on them, people say that's pretty good. Or if you've got your tire up in the air, spin it once. I think they say 1 rotation or 1.5 rotations is good before the wheel stops on its own. So that's kind of where we're at. So they are adjusted. So, and they needed adjusted. All 4 corners needed adjustment. So before I got it right, but still just not enough pressure. So I'm going to adjust that throw real quick. All right, guys. So finished up adjusting that. I really don't know. You can kind of see how much I adjusted it out. That really seemed to help. Don't know if that's the right move on those. Tried looking up on the internet kind of what the rule of thumb is, and everything's just kind of all over the place, but it did seem to help. Don't have any more leaks. That little guy right there is still getting glossy, and I cannot get it any tighter than it is. But like I said, it's not really dripping down the line at all. It's just kind of saying glossy right there. So anyway, I've done what I can do as far as where it's at, as far as, you know, I'm spinning the tire, hitting the brakes, and they're stopping. I'm still not very comfortable with where they're at, so I don't really know what else to do. So I'm just going to kind of move on to the next project, which is getting this tank in. Once we kind of get these floors done, we hammer coated them, rather Mel did, just to kind of clean up the ugly a little bit. She's going to finish up over there where the shifter is, and then where this was. She didn't want to do too much right in here just because we were messing with the brakes. So yeah, that'll be next. Just finishing up this cab. I think we're going to kind of sand all the metal down in here, and you can see we took the gauge cluster out. She's making that pretty, and then we're gonna the steering wheel didn't have the nut on it. It just came off while she was in here, so we're gonna fix that. I mean, we're going to be putting a new steering wheel on it anyway, but so just going to start making the inside of the cab a little bit prettier. Like I said, get that fuel tank in. I'm hoping that the manual fuel pump works. They had an electric fuel pump because they were just going off of a jug, and I don't know if maybe originally they had tried the manual fuel pump and it just wasn't working, or if they just went straight to an electric. I don't know, but either way, I'm going to try and get it all set up, and I've already blown out the line right there that goes to the fuel tank, so I know it's clear. Just run a hose from there to there, and I may end up having to cut that line down a little bit, but we'll see once I get in there. But that's it for now, and we'll mess with the brakes more once we actually kind of get this more in a yard driving type situation. And once we are in that yard driving mode, I'm going to pull this around back, take the bed off, and then we'll start working underneath the truck and kind of get all that done too. But hope you guys enjoy this episode. Took a while to make it. That's actually from the first part of the video till now, it's been like 3 weeks. Of course, we were talking Christmas, New Year's, just all that stuff. So it wasn't like I was working on this every day for 3 weeks, but that's when I started on the break. So it's been a minute. So we're gonna put this out. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and keep an eye out for the next one. Oh yeah, baby! Look at that thing.